So I think the relationship with your bank has changed radically, which has forced banks to change also the way they communicate, the way they present themselves to the public.
Now, for those of you that have been in Luxembourg for quite a while, you will know that ING has always been regarded as the cool bank with their bright orange logos scattered throughout the city. But are they still cool? That's one of the questions I'm going to be putting to Bárbara Daroca, Head of Corporate Services. Bárbara, good morning.
Good morning. Thanks for having me.
Now, Bárbara, let's just talk big picture, because from a marketing perspective, historically, it was actually the fast-moving consumer goods sector that was cool. Do you think has finance caught up in 2023?
I'd like to say yes. I mean, a lot has happened, of course, over time. The way we consume information and the way we access finance and talk about finance has also changed dramatically. The way that my parents learned about finance and the relationship with the bank was, radically different than what we have today. So I'd like to say that banks have taken advantage of this change. I think people are more demanding. They demand from banks to know, how do you work? How do you do the things you do? Why should I come to you? In a sense, the roles have reversed a little bit when, again, 50 years ago, you went to the bank of your parents where they had opened your bank account, and obviously we didn't move out of the house or the village that much or that early as we do today. So I think the relationship with your bank has changed radically, which has forced banks to change also the way they communicate, the way they present themselves to the public.
But we live in an evolving world, and ING, for sure, I think it was pretty cool 10 years ago. Do you think the other banks have managed to catch up with you, though?
Oh, they've definitely tried, if I can say it this way. No, I really have seen a change in the Luxembourg market. When I first took over communications and brand management at ING, and it's about 12, 13, 14 years ago, something like that, we were really the challenger in terms of our products and services, and we became the challenger in terms of our communication. We were the first one to use a little bit more of wordplay, for example, in some of our campaigns. We had the first financial blog in Luxembourg.
Really?
Yes, we did, My Money. And it was the only blog for about 18 months until indeed the others obviously thought this is actually a very good idea. So caught up with us, and some of them maybe even went further than we managed to go over time. I remember also the time I told my team, you know what? We need a mascot. When we go to our events, we do these great events and we always have children, and we need our lion to be there physically. Obviously, my team thought I had hit my head maybe that morning, but I had lived in the US and I know how these mascots engage with people and they become so emotional. So we brought out our lion, and what do you know? The next year, all the banks had mascots in their events, which I think it's great. I love being able to influence a market in this way.
But events, for example, do you still consider yourself sort of the market leader in terms of events for banks?
That's a difficult one to answer because there are so many different types of events.
But the marathon, for example.
Well, obviously that goes without saying.
No one else has done that. That's a huge thing, isn't it?
That is a huge thing, and it really is it's a great collaboration with Step by Step, the company that actually organizes the race itself, with the Ville de Luxembourg, who are our partners in crime, if I can call them this way. So it really is one in a million. But there are other events in Luxembourg, and we all know them, and it's not just about this. The marathon is a true community event, and I think it's really iconic. It's not for nothing the largest sports event in the country and the second largest event in terms of people and publicity and so on after the National Day. So yeah, it has really become iconic, and we're very happy and lucky even that it's taken this life. But there are a lot of other events, a lot of conferences, and I find Luxembourg is really thriving, not just in the financial sector, but in general for the business. It's amazing how many events we have nowadays.
Now let's talk about communication, because I remember back in my university days about the principle of segmentation of markets.
Yes.
And I imagine from your perspective, you're trying to sell products to savers and to spenders. How do you adapt your communication to reach those groups?
Good one. Yeah, we have many more segments than that. We divide by private individuals, smaller companies, larger companies, etc. So it's true, sometimes it becomes a bit schizophrenic, how to cater to all these different people and talk to them in their language. meaning how do you find the triggers and the values that really resonate with.
And that's a literal problem here in Luxembourg, of course, because you've got, I don't know, 6 languages to choose from.
Definitely, yes. And imagine, like I said before, we try to work a little bit in wordplay to keep it fresh, we say, this you sometimes find an incredible expression or wordplay in one language, and then you're like, and how are we going to say this in French? It doesn't have the same tone, it doesn't have the same effect on the person. So that's definitely an added problem. I think nowadays we do a lot of communication, all companies, in a digital format. And this allows you to target much more concretely your audience, and then adapt your message to the channel and therefore the target audience that you're trying to reach. It doesn't always work, of course. In Luxembourg, we still do a lot of out-of-home messaging and out-of-home communication, and then everybody sees it, and as you said, in all the languages. So that becomes a bit more difficult. But then again, at ING, we try to stay true to who we are and the values we represent. You mentioned this, savers versus spenders. They are not necessarily opposite to each other. Very often they are an evolution of each other. Before you are actually able to spend, typically you need to save in some form. And once you have
Bárbara, you're Spanish. Do you save before you spend?
I do. My father taught me that, but you're right. I go very often back to Spain and to Portugal, for example, and I am amazed by some of the advertisement that I see for credit, for example. It's so easy to access credit in these countries. Whereas, as I have family also in Germany, when I'm in Germany, it definitely is all about savings. So there are these very cultural differences. And in fact, our relationship with money is very cultural and even personal, because it might depend on where you are in your life. You might be starting off and you just have your first salary and you're thinking of saving because maybe you want to buy an apartment at some point or do a bigger trip or save for your wedding or anything else. Whereas maybe at a later point in life, you already have the house, which you are hopefully almost about to pay off. You have traveled the world, but you need to start again saving for your pension and when you're retired and so on, or for your children potentially. So again, I think there should always be a fluid relationship between saving and spending. I'm a big believer in save first, but do spend. Money, when you go to the grave, you're going to take it with you. So have a good life.
It's nice to hear a banker say that. Digital communications. If you had to score yourself out of 10, how are you getting on in terms of your digital comms?
We've been a bit quiet this year, so maybe a little bit less. We have pivoted a little bit more towards brand communication. It was important for us to do this at this point in time. We are savvy users of social media, third-party sites, for example, so we do bank a lot on digital assets for our communication. I think we do a pretty good job. Communication very often comes down to the budget you have and the budget you're willing and allowed to spend.
I haven't seen too many TikTok dancing videos yet. Are they coming?
No, not for now, in any case. No. I have a special relationship with some of these very quick, very fast social media outlets or platforms, because one of the values or one of the things that we really believe in ING is financial education. And I really believe any financial institution believes in this, because at the end of the day, we're in the risk management business, right? And the most savvy your clients are about their finances and the risks, the better off you will be in the end, both you and your client. And I am afraid I have seen and I've read some of these articles about so-called TikTok experts that really entice younger generations with these ideas that you can, make money by just doing this or that. And I am really, really wary of that. And I don't want to have ING assimilated with that type of advice. We really take care of giving sound advice, or rather than sound advice, sound information to our clients, or to the general public for that matter, so that they can take the right decisions for themselves. When my children ask me, is this very expensive? And I tell them very often, expensive is relative. It's relative to what the value you're getting from it and how much money or how much effort it will take for you to spend that money. So one thing for €1 might be very expensive, and another thing for €1 might be incredibly cheap. So it's just a relationship of the decision with the money, the situation, the value you get out of it. So TikTok, Maybe I'll do a
So
dance
TikTok,
one day. But
TikTok, not yet. Hey, Barbara, it's been absolutely fantastic speaking with you. Thank you so much.
You're welcome.
We know
Thank
you're
you for
a
having me.
super busy person, but yeah, we look forward to seeing you again right here in the hot seat.
Thank you.